me shift gears, get into some more specific issues like energy. You know, we have a big controversy right now about building more nuclear plants, for instance. But isn't developing energy resources for global civilization an inherently eco-threatening activity? I mean, no matter what kind of energy you're going for, it's going to impact the environment in some way. What do we do with that? How do we think about that as Christians?
I have a lot of answers on this one. I'll kick it off if that's okay with you. I was just reading, there are a couple of papers that just came out late last year, I think it's Energy Policy. And the two authors, one's from Stanford, one's from Davis, they're trying to lay out what the world would look like to move to an entirely wind, water, solar-based energy economy. So entirely moving away from fossil fuels, 100% removed. And what's interesting as a part of that is that they are, it's a part of their paper, it's a part of what they're working on. It's strictly a numbers game. So they're looking at, this is our consumption, so many terawatts now, this is projected consumption for 2030, 2050, these are the terawatts, these are the efficiency improvements. How do we realize this? What are the real costs? What does this really possibly look like? What's missing from that is the personal component, which kind of gets to the morality issue that you mentioned there, that anytime we're harvesting anything, and that goes for energy even if it's from the sun, there's some place that that energy did not go to. It didn't go into the desert, it didn't go onto my rooftop, it didn't go into. So we're inherently engaging with and augmenting the world around us when we do this. The personal story part of this fossil-free economy, the personal story there is, okay, there's this much energy that we theoretically might be able to generate, and there it is. How do we distribute it? Who gets it? And what's totally left to the reader in these papers, and it wouldn't really be appropriate probably in energy policy to get into this, but what's left to the reader is, well, how would we distribute that? Because this is just based on projections for what we will be consuming, which really means what we will be consuming. People here at this university, people at Stanford, people at Davis, people in this developed and still developing and very energy hungry and not satiated part of the world. And so there's a personal morality aspect to this as well, which I think it feeds back on us, especially as Christians. And this is the place where I think it's true, we can kind of display our eschatological vision to the world, but we can do it in a unique and kind of radical way if we're willing to say, you know what, here's this energy pie, I'm willing to share with you. In fact, I'm willing to cut myself down to what, if we split this pie evenly, what might be mine, if that's even a strictly relevant concept at that point. I'm willing to sell property and share with my brother who's in need. If we're willing to do that sort of thing, I think we have an opportunity to demonstrate something that I don't hear coming from many sources outside of the Christian worldview community.
So you're saying we have an opportunity to make an energy tithe?
In essence, yeah.
Offerings.
Although it's probably a reverse tithe. So it's probably more like a, you get 90, I get 10, compared with how we're consuming now. That's a slight exaggeration, but numbers, that's not much of a slight exaggeration. Actually, that's about right. If you look at the scale of the consumption. On average in this country, I think we consume about 14,000 watts perpetually per person, something like that. Maybe it's 11 or 12,000. And the numbers globally map out to closer to maybe 2,000 is where we'd like to be if we want to, everybody gets an equal part of the pie. So that's a substantial tithe.
I think that brings into question other areas where Christians can provide some wisdom and some biblical teaching to this issue, because when we talk about tithe and distribution of wealth, I've heard Christian economists and economic philosophers say, and theologians say that from a biblical standpoint, we're not encouraged to have equal distribution of wealth, but equal distribution of opportunity. So what does that look like in terms of distribution and opportunity for energy resources? What does that look like in terms of the percentage of sharing that as among the wealthiest in the world, we have an obligation to share? And so I understand what you're saying in quantifying these things from a scientific standpoint. From a biblical ethical standpoint, what should we do? That's a different question. And I think we have some experience in that area in other areas of resources and giving that we can bring to bear in this particular subject of resources and giving.
Biola University offers a variety of biblically centered degree programs, ranging from business to ministry to the arts and sciences. Visit biola.edu to find out how Biola could make a difference in your life.